Hello, denizens of the internet. Warning, there will be spoilers. I keep telling all of you that this is not a review channel, and I feel so dirty every time I do one. The one thing I will say in my defense is that there's always a reason or story behind my reviews, or I would honestly not bother. I wanted to see Gran Turismo, directed by Neil Blomkamp and starring David Harbour, Archie Madekwe, and Orlando Bloom, because I'm a big racing fan. F1 these days. But even more so when I was a young lad, when I went to our local Mossport racetrack, nestled in the wooded beauty of Bowmanville, Ontario, and watched my favorite race, the Can-Am Series. It was an open class that allowed different body designs as long as they were closed wheel. It featured different engines, aero packages. They were experiments on wheels, and I got to see drivers like Mark Donohue, Mario Andretti, Parnelli Jones, Dan Gurney, Bruce McLaren. It was an amazing, noisy time. My son is a mechanic now and has rebuilt 2 Subaru engines on the kitchen table. He rebuilt a Turbo Legacy that is scary fast. I went with him to this movie, and we enjoyed it more than we had anticipated. Of course, he used to play Gran Turismo. I'm a terrible sim racer, which is why he always refused to race against me. He called me pathetic. But here we were at the 10:30 p.m. showing of Gran Turismo. He's a night owl, and I'm a morning person. The things a father does for his children. Let's get one thing straight off the table. If you've seen any sports movie, then there is pretty much nothing new here. Hero overcomes adversity and wins, or sort of wins. That's it. What made Gran Turismo work was its hook. It's the true story of Jan Mardenborough, wonderfully played by Archie Madekwe, a Gran Turismo sim player who gets a chance to race for real. Researching the story, many of the events were true, like the tragic accident at the Nürburgring in Germany that killed a spectator. Others were embellishments, I'm sure, like the nasty racing protagonist from Team Kappa in the shiny gold Lambo, of course, who was really just a bad guy on demand. In fact, human things were only thinly explored, from Jan's family relationship to his girlfriend, and even Jack Salter, played by Harbour, the grizzled racing sensei with a tragic past, who basically repeats the same aphorism over and over throughout the movie. So what the heck took up the 2 hours and 15 minutes runtime? To the best of my memory, because it just all raced by, it was lots of racing car footage, grippingly shot in shaky cam, extreme close-ups with the most razor-thin depth of field. They must have used wildlife lenses, I'm sure. Sweeping drone footage, watching engine internals, the violence of pistons and valves in motion felt like we were watching the popular Initial D anime featuring the legendary Toyota Terreno drift car. Interesting side story? We had that exact same car back in 1984, the Toyota Corolla GTS 16-valve twin cam, as it was called here. When my son saw an old video of us with it, he flipped out, totally pissed off that we had sold the car. If you're not a car race fan, I think there's lots to recommend. The performances are what really put this movie over the top, especially David Harbour. And I'm fairly certain the ridiculously handsome, sultry-voiced 6'3" Archie Madekwe might actually be the new gen movie star we've been waiting for. The father was played with emotional intensity by Jimon Hansu. It was a pleasant shock to see Jerry Halliwell, formerly of the Spice Girls, playing Jan's mother. I took my daughter to see the Spice Girls. Oh my gosh, I've been forcing gender normative stereotypes on my children. Orlando Bloom played the suit, and I liked how he vacillated between anti-corporate cheerleader and Niz and shill. It was an interesting twist, but believable, as a company will only give someone so much rope to hang themselves with. When I was a TV exec in charge of production, I had to pretend to do what my bosses asked me to do while pretending to the producers that I was protecting them from my bosses. But the real stars were all the cars that my son and I could name within seconds of seeing them. Name, model, VIN number. That being said, while there is gear porn in this movie, something I've railed against Marvel removing from theirs, more gear porn would have been nice. While Harbour's character did give a great speech about G-forces and real-life race car racing versus playing a sim, the drivers were more like racehorse jockeys for hire. What was missing was the notion that there are inherent mechanical faults, that things wear out, and while in-game it affects the car, in real life it will affect you, the race car driver. That was a niggly thing that actually my son disagreed with me about. What was a bit of a giggle was how evenly matched Nissan GTRs could pass each other. Yes, watching dramatic passing is what makes your pulse race in movies like this, so I'll just shut up about that. The movie, however, committed 3 egregious modern-day Hollywood sins. The lead character was not part of a single-mother household, but actually had a father and a loving family. Shocking, I know. And the father was not played for an idiot. Yeah, hard to believe. Father and son had a hug at the end that brought tears to our eyes. And finally, women who made it as Gran Turismo sim champs did not make it through to the top of the racing trials. Where the hell was Sony's diversity, equity, inclusivity czar, for sake? The girls didn't cut it in the cars, though they were not made to look like fools or weak either. But really, the big star of this movie was Blomkamp's direction and editing. It kept us in the movie throughout. The merging of in-game effects over top of real footage was very clever and elicited cheers from the audience. This is a fine example of how even a stock sporting story can be made to work. If you are a fan of Gran Turismo and car racing, you will love this movie. It's the Hot Wheels alternative to Barbie. We both give Gran Turismo 4 stick shifts out of 5. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.